Everybody, thanks very much for joining me. What I'm going to talk about today is how we can make sure that students are getting the best out of the learning that we're offering them, whether that's online, posted, whatever it is. And you'll see there's a link to learn more. Written up some of this up in a blog post with some links, so feel free to click on that at any point. But I'm just going to talk about four things very briefly and talk about evidence and talk about how we might apply it to this situation. And the worry that this stems from is talking to teachers who are saying only a third of our students are logging in, only a third of our students are submitting a homework or whatever it is. So we've moved heaven and earth to get work home for them, print stuff off, get ourselves online, and not all students are benefiting. And the students who are least likely to participate are, of course, the ones who we're likely to be most worried about. So I'm going to talk about four different issues. In each case, I'm going to talk about a little bit of evidence, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about how you might apply it. So I'll start off with what our goal is, specifying the action. Chip and Dan Heath, in their wonderful book Switch, say often what looks like resistance is a lack of clarity. So often we are not clear enough about what we want people to do, and as a result, it looks like they're pushing back. They're not even trying to push back. It's just that they didn't know exactly what we wanted them to do. One person who inspired me, or a story that inspired me, was Paul O'Neill, who took over at Alcoa, an aluminium manufacturing organisation. It was big, it was old, it was inefficient, but he said, look, we're just going to do one thing. We're going to make Alcoa the safest company in America. No, we're going to have no worker injuries. And he created a really clear habit. He said, anytime someone gets injured, I need to know within 24 hours. I need a report saying how we're going to avoid a repetition of this. And what this drove was whole organisational change. It was super simple, but it had quite big implications. And the result is worker injuries drop and Alcoa becomes a profitable and successful company again. What does that mean for us? I think let's just specify two things. Like one, whatever we're offering you, turn up, check in. Like if we're calling home, if there's a Zoom call, whatever, you need to be there. Obviously not if you're actually ill, but under any other circumstances. And two, if we sent you home 3 homework tasks, do 3 homework tasks. But making sure that students are doing the things that we're asking them to do. And that it's quite basic, that help students clarify what we want, help students get into a routine, and then we can build on that. If they're completing all the assignments, then we can tweak the assignments to try and make them better. So great. We've got a clear target, a clear goal. How do we make sure students act on it? Loads of things we could do, but I want to talk about probably the single most powerful influence, which is what everyone else is doing. You do what others do if you don't know any better. Really interesting set of studies looked at littering. Under what circumstances are people most likely to litter, and they actually sort of forced people to decide by putting big flyers covering the windscreen of their cars in car parks without a litter bin anywhere near, and said, okay, how can we influence whether people are likely to bin this, put it in their pocket, throw it on the floor. So very obvious thing, if there's loads of litter lying around, people are much more likely to drop litter themselves. If there's loads of litter lying around and they see someone else littering, they're even more likely. If all the litter's been swept up, they are less likely to litter because they know what's expected. So 3 sort of influences on social norms. One is knowing what's expected. So if litter's swept up, we know what's expected. I'm not going to add to the pile. Another is knowing what everyone else is doing. Right? See litter everywhere. Why shouldn't I? And the third is showing that things are changing. So what does this look like in practice? Messed up the animation, apologies, so I'll just get them all out. So these 3 things. One, being really clear, like, we expect everyone to do their homework, or whatever it is. We've made it as possible, as easy as we can. Get in touch if there's any barriers. We've made it so you can access it off your parent's smartphone. We'll print out whatever it is, and we expect you to do it. 2, emphasizing like, look, 80–90% of people handed in their homework. And clearly, if that was 10%, we don't want to say that. So if numbers are really low, emphasize the changing trend. To say more than ever, like we've had more homeworks in than ever this week. And the idea is to create a really strong sense in students' minds, like this is what's expected, this is what everyone else wants to do. Very few people want to be the odd one out. So we're going to make sure that they're not the odd one out, they're handing in their homework as well. So we've got a really clear goal. We've said, look, everyone's doing it. We want you to be doing it as well. It's what the school's doing. We can also help them by helping them to plan action, plan when they're going to act. So this is a really interesting study that looked at vaccination, and they sent people randomly chosen one of three cards. First one said, look, come and get vaccinated. Here are the times. Second one, same information. Said, look, if you want, you could write in which day you're going to go. Third one said you can write in the day and the time. Now, they don't even know, like literally all they did was send these different cards to people. They don't even know how people responded. They didn't go and check, did you write down the time? But people who received this card were more likely to go and get vaccinated. So planning when and where you're going to act makes it more likely that you will actually act. And you know, this is sort of fairly obvious. When you say to a student, when are you going to do it? Oh, you know, like sometime next week. It's really not going to happen. Okay, I'm going to do it on Tuesday afternoon at about 3 p.m. More likely. So one thing that we can do is work with students to plan out, okay, when exactly are you going to do this thing that we want you to do? When are you going to do your maths homework? When are you going to do your history? When are you going to do your reading? Whatever it is. Okay, great. We've got a really clear goal. We've given a really good reason for acting on it. We've helped students plan when they're going to do it. Lo and behold, they're not going to, realistically, many of them. And one reason for that is it takes a really long time to form a habit. I've only found 2 studies that have examined this. One looked at basic health habits, like drinking a glass of water every day. They said average 66 days to form a habit. Another looked at going to the gym. They said average you need to go 4 times a week for 6 weeks, so you end up with a fairly similar number here. Our students have only been learning at home for like a week, if they've even started. So it's going to take time, and we need to expect that to take time and keep offering support until they do it. And one thing that's really powerful here, just give you a second to read this and then try and guess what are the spikes in Google searches for diet. And the answer, of course, is it's New Year's Day. You get a fresh start, and this effect has been found at many different times. New Year's Day, start of a month, start of a week, the start of your a new year, like after your birthday. And so, going back to students after the Easter holidays and saying, look, time for a relaunch. This is a fresh start for you, and this is what I want you to do. So don't despair if they're not doing it yet. This is how you can get them to do it more often. And so that is everything I was going to say. Link to the blog if you want to learn more, and you can. I'm turning this into a book, so feel free to find out more about that if you're interested. Otherwise, good luck, rest up, and yeah, take care of yourselves. Thanks very much.